Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm MissPetiteRu. I'm actually quite petite, I'm 4'9", and this week I'm going to talk to you about my solo travel experiences. Have you ever wanted to travel different parts of the world but always waiting on someone else to go with? Or have you felt like I'm too short, I'm a girl, I'm a woman, I don't feel comfortable traveling alone? Well, after this video, I'm going to give you some really good solo traveling tips and why solo traveling has been so valuable and such a big impact in my life. For the best place for petites 5 foot and under, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button to be notified when I post a video every Wednesday. So ever since I was a kid, I traveled around with my grandma in these little small excursions to like pick cherries and pick apples. And then one big trip that I did with my dad when I was about 13 to Shanghai, and then different parts of region around that area in China, that it really showcased like why traveling is so like fascinating, and also helps you understand different cultures and understand how different people grow up and why they think differently. And I remember going to Shanghai and it's like trying a lot of different foods and understanding their language. I was like studying Mandarin at that time as well, and it was just very profound for myself. And I remember my dad saying that regardless of if I can't go with you, that I will definitely encourage you to travel a lot, and that was very profound, and I think I got that from him. So my first solo trip I did about a decade ago, and I went on this exchange trip to Mexico. I went to 5 different cities in 4 weeks. I was the only Canadian on this trip. I went by myself, and I met so many awesome people. I met people from Paris, I met people from Bordeaux, I met people from Singapore, and the coordinators were all from Mexico. So I definitely was in a pocket of a very different and diverse group. And that was when I discovered that, if you travel by yourself, you can really discover who you truly are. There's no preconception of who you are. When you're in your town or in your city that you grow up in, there is a preconception of how you dress, how you look, how you act. But when you go to a different environment and no one knows who you are, you can really discover or try different things, and you can really discover who you truly are. And I remember being able to talk to every individual on this trip and really try to make a connection. And that was when I realized that traveling alone really breaks you out of your comfort zone. And this is very, very amazing, and it's beautiful when you see different aspects of yourself, and that you're like also understanding different cultures, because it was like a melting pot of people on this trip. And I felt like, you realize what you connect with as well. Like I connected with the French also because I'm from Canada and then studied French as a child, as well as I connected with the Singaporeans because we grew up with English as our native tongue for like school, but a lot of them were also Asian descendants like myself. So that really showcases like how you can connect with people with different cultures, at the same time see the similarities and see the differences, and really appreciate it all at the same time. So after this exchange trip, I have traveled a lot around the world, including Asia, Europe, and parts of the States and Canada. And I did a working holiday in Australia, as well as did some parts of traveling in New Zealand. It was a really great trip. And I think my real last big trip was actually getting married in Hawaii, and this is why I have my Hawaii gear on, to kind of reminisce the nice and warm weather and the ocean and the blue water. I totally miss that. So here are some of my tips on solo traveling. I'm going to split this into 2-part video because there is a lot, and so let's start with some here. So my number 1 tip is pack light. So So depending where you're going, that will depend on what suitcase you're gonna carry and so on and so forth. If you're going on a trip for a week, a duffel bag with carry-on is more than enough. I actually do an empty duffel bag, fold it into my small carry-on, and that is just in case, you know, I do end up buying some souvenirs, some extra clothing, that I have that extra space if necessary. And with the carry-on itself, I normally just pack it half full so that I have room to do some shopping, or especially clothing shopping in different parts of the world. It really depends on what is the purpose of your travel. Sometimes if I'm going for 2 weeks or longer, I will have a bigger suitcase and it will be almost fully empty, because I know that I'm going to Asia or going at different parts of the world to shop. And so I would just have your basic clothing in there, and obviously have a really good jacket for wind and rain and so on and so forth, but definitely will help if you want to do some shopping around the world if you have more of an empty suitcase. So next few points I want to give you is for accommodations. So for me, a lot of times when I'm traveling alone, I love staying at hostels because there is like a common area, or you have dorm mates, roommates that you can talk to and connect with and start traveling with while you are solo traveling. So that gives you an area where you could like connect and bond with other people. I give you an example. When I was in Hong Kong, a lot of times when I'm in the common area, I'm able to talk to different groups of people of like, oh, if you want to go somewhere to eat, you know, somewhere to do some shopping, whatever it is, like you will find your group of people, especially when you are in a hostel environment. But one big tip I have to emphasize is that for ladies out there, I do recommend, highly recommend doing female dorms only. This is because it's just more convenient, and safety is also a big part of this. Even if it costs you $5 to $10 extra every night, the convenience of it is so profound. For example, I'll give you a story. I met, I think it was an 18-year-old Korean girl that was traveling in Hong Kong by herself. She felt super uncomfortable because in each dorm room, you also have like a shower that is shared. She was not comfortable using that shower at all. And for example, there are showers downstairs that are only female or only male. So she'll choose to do that instead. But that is more of an hassle. And also, the fact that she didn't feel safe was not good at all as well. Whereas when you are in a female dorm only, you'll have more convenience. You can pull down the curtain on your, bunk bed and change if you like. You don't have to feel uncomfortable because we're all female there. So yeah, the convenience and the safety of it is so important. So ladies out there, please be reminded, if you do go to do hostels, make sure you can try to do female only. That's my first tip. My next tip for accommodation is Airbnb. I've done it many times throughout the last 7 years, including in Asia, in Europe, and in North America, as well as in Australia. One big tip I want to tell you is that if you're sharing the accommodation with your host, definitely do female hosts only. I don't know if you ever heard of these horror stories about how these Airbnb places are actually has hidden cameras and stuff like that, and it's just, safety is so important. Check the reviews, check all the ratings as well, the cleanliness of it and stuff like that. And if you go through all the description of the Airbnb and it does not match the description when you get there, you can report them. So first thing, obviously talk to the host, message the host first about, hey, for example, I was in Sydney and they didn't have a TV like they promised, and the door was very difficult to open as well. I said that in the description, it said that there was a TV, there was supposed to be all these other things, but it was not provided. And so I messaged the host, and they gave me half my money back because of the situation. Now the thing is that if they do not do any there's no resolution from this situation, you can report them to Airbnb, and they can be banned for not advertising correctly. So point for yourself, safeguard yourself. If things don't look right, make sure you have your own back and just message the host. And if not, go message the Airbnb, and so that you are protected for sure. So my last tip for accommodations is hotels. So if you're gonna do a hotel or a resort, you can definitely book through Expedia, Orbit, Hotels.com, just a place that you can accumulate points for every time you book a hotel. That way, especially if you do a hotel chain or something that like Hyatt or the Marriott or anything of those parts as well, you can accumulate points for your next stay. For example, when my husband and I did, when he came to visit me and we did a trip in New Zealand, then in Australia, we booked through Hotels.com for most of it. And then we were able to rack up 2 nights at another place of our choice. So that is a great way to kind of save as well as accumulate some points for your next travel. So my last point of wrapping up this part 1 of this video is really go with your gut. Okay, so when you feel like a situation doesn't seem right, seems kind of fishy or whatever it is, really go with that feeling, and 99% of the time it might be right. So don't feel uncomfortable doing things that you don't feel comfortable doing, and just go with that strong instinct, your own inner instinct. That's my last tip for this video. Stay tuned for part 2 next Wednesday. And there, I'm gonna have a guide for you on solo traveling tips. So stay tuned to that. Comment below on places you want to travel to after this pandemic. And if you are 4'9" like me or 5 and under, give me a shout out. I'm also building a community on Facebook just for petites 5 foot and under to talk about their challenges, their struggles, and their wins in life. And if you want to join that group, the link is below the description here. I'm also on Instagram at MissPetiteRu. Check out these 2 videos that I made just for petites 5 foot and under. Please enjoy. And if you like this video, press the like button and subscribe to my channel if this really resonates with you. And I will see you next week. Bye!